Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Today we're going to be talking about Horizon Forbidden West and basically some news that I've uncovered lately. And this is something that's new to me because I guess my head's been in the cloud looking at this whole Xbox Series X and PS5 release that I necessarily did not consider that Horizon Forbidden West is also going to be on the PlayStation 4, which is contrary to what I assumed. I thought it was going to be a PS5 exclusive, and if I kind of didn't know, I wonder or imagine how many people who, were not aware of this as well and will probably be happy about the news. Now, we can try to seek reasons as to why Sony is doing this, but I think we'll be in a safe place if we kind of, make hypotheses based on the financial side of it, and also the aspect of them wanting to keep their fans, kind of in their ecosystem, which is an ecosystem of exclusives. Now, I've also spoken about how I felt Microsoft had basically, in a sense, flat-footed Sony with their purchase of ZeniMax Media, but I think that's been misconstrued as attacks on Sony. I'm not trying to attack PlayStation. I'm pointing out where the value proposition is going and how I see that trajectory. And I think the competition is going to make every single of these gaming companies, developers, and even the platformers bring more value to the player base if the competition evens out, or if the underdog is eventually starting to crush the old dog who's been in the fight. But so far, everything that we have right now is kind of conjecture. But it's really important that Sony, in their PlayStation 5 showcase or their PlayStation showcase when they first showed Horizon Forbidden West, they just kind of lumped it into all of this, and I assumed that it was going to be just a PS5 exclusive. So as a PlayStation 4 owner, I'm just totally excited about the fact that it's going to be coming to the PlayStation 4, and so we're not only going to be, in a place where we're getting Spider-Man Miles Morales as a, PlayStation 4 game as well, we're going to be getting a PlayStation 4 version of Horizon Zero West. Now, I've also heard that, the executives in Sony are wanting to just have people have options. And I think that's also a valid, explanation. If you have the option of playing it on a PS4, and then when you get a PS5, then, you can have that copy transfer over. That's also a nice option to have. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. And even as a PC player, it's funny to see that, Horizon Zero Dawn, which is the first game, actually came to the PC. And I contemplated getting it, but I read some reviews that said it needed to be tweaked and fine-tuned a little bit for a PC platform, because I know that the game will look beautiful when you actually run it at, some much better settings and increase it, its performance capabilities. But at the same time, I don't really think that would have really made a difference as to how I felt about the game nonetheless. It's one of those games where if you did like it, you liked it, and if you didn't really like it, then you didn't really like it. And so that's very important to see. And then, in my opinion, nonetheless, as much as we can talk about all these good reasons that Sony is doing this for, I know that they're doing it for some level of, financial gain as well. As much as it provides value for a huge install base from the PlayStation 4 days, it seems to me that they don't want to, abandon that aspect of things. And to be fair, there's nothing wrong with that. Before anybody goes and says, I'm misconstruing Sony's proposition, I think it makes more sense because think about the developers who are making the games. I don't think developers are super excited about exclusive deals, because what that means for developers who are, in a sense, more into the artistic side of their work, they want people to experience their creations, and exclusives pretty much cut out a huge portion of, the possible and potential fan base that can enjoy these things. So for people who have never owned a PlayStation, they have missed out on a series of exclusive games because those games, PlayStation has decided to hold them as, exclusives in order for them to sell consoles. And now they've sold so many consoles, 110 million of these things, and now they want to move into the PlayStation 5, and it's hard to let that amount of consoles just go to waste. And so making games for them just makes a lot of sense. I mean, even a developer who's probably making a game that's scheduled for even 2021 is still going to be wanting or desiring to make games for the PlayStation 4. There are a lot of examples of games like that. You have Watch Dogs, which is a 2020 game, I concede, but you have, Gotham Knights, which is a game that's going to be coming out, in 2021. and it's going to be coming out across all of those platforms. Also, there's another game that was actually announced to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. I can't necessarily remember the name. That's no longer going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. And I guess that's interesting that the developers have decided to maybe change their minds. Perhaps they backed out of the deal, or it just wasn't in their best interest to do an exclusivity deal with Sony. And so, it just makes a lot of sense. I feel that the competition should be so even that exclusives now start to become something that is diminished. And if Sony wants to continue with their exclusive strategy, then it's their rights to do so. They spend $40+ million, per these games. And so if they want to go ahead with that strategy, that's fine as well. But it's really interesting, though, that in the onset of this generation, it's going to feel just like the onset of the next generation. It's going to feel like the onset of this particular generation that we're still in, and that's the PS4 and Xbox One generation, where in the first few I would say years, there weren't really a lot of games. It wasn't until like year 3, year 4 that we started seeing some more games show up in the market. So we're gonna have a weird kind of drought for the new generations. People on the new generations will most likely be playing games that people on the old generations already have and are already enjoying. So that's pretty much my take on this. I'm looking very closely. I think right now Xbox does have a clear advantage. Sony also has opportunities, but it's based on them how they're going to use the opportunities. And like I always say, at the end of the day, you're going to spend your money however you want to spend your money. I mean, I think at the end, it all boils down to preference of the player. But if you ask me my opinion, I see Xbox giving a lot of value, and I see you keeping your PlayStation 4 as a much more valuable proposition. I know people might talk about the machine of a PlayStation 5 and all those other things, but at the same time, I'm willing to wait till I see some true PlayStation 5 exclusives before I bother buying the console, to be very fair. I mean, that's exactly why I buy a PlayStation console. But if there's not going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive for a while, then I'm just going to chill and I'm just going to wait. And on the other hand, I'll play my Xbox games on PC and then other PC games as well, because that kind of is the sweet spot that, a player wants to be in. And if you don't have a PC, then a lot of those so-called Xbox exclusives, you're probably not really interested in them. But I know there might be a little bit of that concern that Microsoft might try to leverage exclusives out of these Bethesda games. Who knows? I'm not certain they will. In fact, I'm leaning more to that they wouldn't. In a recent interview with one of the heads of Bethesda, and even Todd Howard himself, and even the Xbox head, they were talking about what it felt like for Game Pass to be in existence. And one of those, Bethesda guys, I think ZeniMax or whatever, I don't remember his name, he said the interesting thing about developing games is you want people to experience your games. And even Todd Howard, for all his faults, admitted the same thing, that it's crazy to go through all that work making a game and some people will never get to try it. But opening the platforms like Game Pass allows for them to be able to look through the library and say, hey, I've never really tried that game and I actually want to take a look at it. And I think many creators are on that same page. I think Sony has just been pulling its corporate weight in order to be able to leverage and keep itself in a strong position. In my opinion, that's not necessarily too favorable. I mean, but I will tell you anytime, any day that Sony has the right to still do that because it's within their purview. I defended them with their Avengers exclusivity of Spider-Man, but at the same time, it just seemed like it has not really, worked for the greater community of gamers. But nonetheless, I'm going to reserve my judgment, overall. I mean, I do have my own leanings towards saying that Xbox has more value, but at the same time, I think the PlayStation 4 owner right now is really in a very fun, sweet spot. You're really going to be getting the best of both worlds. Sure, you're not going to be able to get the full, cake, but a good slice of it is coming your way. And I think that's what many PlayStation players need to just focus on right now. If you have the money to go for the PS5, by all means, it's your choice. But at the same time, if you do not have the money for a PS5 and you're on a PS4 Pro, then you're also in a very strong position as well. Let me get out of your hair. I want to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section. Do you think Horizon Zero, did you think that Horizon Zero Dawn was a PS5 exclusive like I did? Tell me. I want to know. Peace out.